Welcome back to the Coach MC Studio. This is the place where we'll help you actors, performers, artists to really stand out in the audition room, no matter what you're auditioning for and where the audition takes place, because we love to help those artists, those communicators, those beautiful performers to really shape unique behavior deliveries, to deliver something unique, intriguing, and very compelling. And we're just coming out of a 3 months long series where we met every month to discuss the casting process, the audition process, and we had 3 full episodes dedicated to this beautiful topic that is sort of in between of the worlds, right? It's not the set, it's not our comfortable home, it's the kingdom in between. And one of the great emperors of that incredible art world that happens in between, right? One of the emperors of that kingdom is our today's guest. I couldn't be more pumped and excited about today's guest. Welcome to the show, Lucy Lenox.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let me start, before we get into the nitty gritty, you have a very eclectic background, right? You did many jobs, you tried many things, and you gathered a lot of experience. Was that part of your success formula to kind of get the most out of your prior experiences, understanding how the world works, and then kind of applying this to...
I think it's because, I do a lot of casting. I know a lot of different worlds. I didn't choose to be a casting director. I just fell into it. I'm a product. People often ask, I'm a product of timing and geography. Where I was born and the time I was born.
Opportunity meets preparation.
I like everything I do. One of my university lecturers wrote to me a couple of years ago, and because he read an article, and he said, "Hey, we're so proud of you, and we're so glad that you're doing what you always wanted to do." I'm like, I never wanted to do this. And I don't have a vocation, but I love what I do. But I've loved everything that I've done. So I've rode lots of different worlds, and I can be, when I go to interviews for casting jobs, I'm always bringing in the experience that relates me to every single different project. So I think that's helpful. Sure. I enjoy life, and I enjoy diversity, and I enjoy doing different things. And that's one of the reasons that casting is a good job for me, because every project is different, and every world is a universe. And
do you get the chance for greater projects? Because we see, of course, illustrious projects like the Spanish department of The Crown. You kind of led that. Vicky Christie Barcelona. The Heat. A lot of big budget productions that you were kind of overseeing, casting the people for. Is it more difficult on such a big level to really get the time to experiment, to kind of look for the right chemistry? Or would you say it's easier because people are way more experienced usually when they get in such high echelons of productions?
There's many different ways to answer that question. Firstly, it's because that's where I'm a very small cog in a very big wheel, because when I'm doing the Spanish casting, like, we always laugh, and I did the Spanish casting of Vicky Cristina Barcelona with Pep Armengol, the casting director I started with, and it was like everybody wanted to be in that film, and we were only casting about 5 roles, and I said, we had to have an extra assistant just to answer the phone, because it was before email. Really, it's a long time ago. We had to deal with everybody. Oh, please, I just want to be a waiter, and I'm like, have you read the script? There's no waiters in the script. That was just a pleasure to be a part of, because finally I was in a film that my family knew who the director was. So when they say, have you worked with anybody we know? So that was more like a prestige rather than a difficult job. Also because working for somebody like Woody Allen, he has a very, very good casting team and they know exactly what he likes and wants, and they're very good at communicating that to us. And then his work is very easy to watch in terms of what kind of actors he likes. So it was a very smooth, easy job to do without any great breaks, apart from the fact that there are people who are really upset because we didn't see them. And there's still people that were like, oh, I would have had a career if you got me in the video. And that was at the very kind of beginning of my career. And it was a lot of emotional management, trying to explain to people like why I couldn't see them just because, and so those things. And then when I did The Crown, which is more recently, that's the same. That is an incredibly well-run casting department. And we worked with the casting associate and the casting director who do all the series. And they had very specific roles that needed to be cast in Spain, which Mike Cater, my casting associate, and I cast. But it was also very much being contributor to a very well-oiled machine. So there's not a lot of room for your personal creativity, because you're finding a piece in a puzzle, but the puzzle is finished. So it's not like when I'm working on a project where I'm the lead casting director or where there's independent, then I'm making a puzzle and all the pieces are thrown all over your living room and you have to assemble them. And when you work on these big projects, there's just a little corner somewhere on the puzzle and there's 5 pieces that you have, and you have to put them in. You have to find the right pieces. And it's very important.
Sometimes these details win, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes it's the winning.
Details. And but you know what you're looking for, and it's very clear. There's a lot to do with casting as well that people don't talk about, which is the administration side. And I think that people often forget, part of my job is to make sure that the paperwork is done, to make sure that John Bloggs is actually available on the 13th of March to shoot.
Absolutely.
And that he doesn't have a drug problem that will prevent him from turning up on set, and that he's not going to, suddenly try and have, sex with the makeup lady or whatever. There's certain so there's certain things, and that they will sign the deal, and that he can do the things that he said he could do. I mean, there's a certain point of casting that is like, I laugh about it with some of my casting colleagues. About saying, everybody thinks that we're so creative. And in fact, there is a very, very strong part of our job that is keeping, the shit in order. And the I's are dotted and the contracts are signed. And so
absolutely.
That is what I do on those big productions. I put people into a puzzle. The people are very happy to be part of that puzzle. I'm very happy to be part of that process. Mm-hmm. And then I make sure that all the paperwork is done, that I don't cause any headaches for production or for the casting company, but it's not a particularly creative process.
You could say it's not in terms of how people mundanely understand creativity, but there is a lot of creativity that goes into kind of juggling all these stars, all these egos, all these very delicate and sensitive moments of life.
Totally, but that's on the other projects. But on these projects that I'm talking about, I don't have to do that. Because I'm not juggling the stars. The stars are being dealt with by the lead casting directors and the production or the showrunners, and they've been going for a very long time. And they're very, very. So my job is just like, I come in, I work for a short amount of time. I put the cherry on the cake, or not on the whole cake, but a cherry on the muffin within there.
Nice slice of the
a nice slice of cake. I'm very proud of that kind of work. I like that kind of work because it's a way of getting actors into big international productions. Sometimes it's a big break for them. Like, we're very proud of some of the people we cast in The Crown have gone on to be stars of tomorrow in Spain, and one of them just won a big award in the Malaga Film Festival, and we cast her as a, girl on the boats kind of thing. But she did the role and she's got that credit.
Nice. So what is it that you're looking for? Is there something specific that you're looking for in every actor? Or do you just, I like this book that gets written every time with those blank pages. Let's see what the actor is giving me. Let's fill up the chapter. Or you, of course, because you're a pro. with such an experience, exactly, what the inconsistencies, the little flaws are. So
it depends on the project. Because I am very, very lucky. I work in very big budget projects and I work in very weird independent projects with incredibly talented filmmakers. So I'm not looking for the same thing. What I'm always looking for, I think, is authenticity. So, but that can be different. Like, when I work on big American projects, I have to get into that world. Or when I'm doing comedy is not universal. What's funny for an American audience is not funny for a Danish audience. Right. And I can direct the same actor or put forward the same actor, but I have to be able to bring them into the world. That's something I'm finding very difficult with self-taping, because I don't often get enough chance to talk to people and explore the world with them. But we're working out. We're upping our game the whole time on that. What I'm looking for is the right person for the role at that moment. And also, what's very important for actors to know is that we have to put forward probably at least 10 people per role. And I have to believe in each of those 10 people. So I'm looking for different things. I'm not casting directors, at least I don't know, some others might do, but I don't really decide. I just put forward. I'm not a buyer, I'm a seller. When I put forward 10 people for a casting, I'm not putting forward one person thinking they should get it and those 9 other people are not that good. I have to be equally happy if the showrunner says, hey, this person's great, or if the director says, I love this person. And there's often a lot more argument than actors realize about who gets the role. Like, it goes to the wire a lot of the time. It depends on my relationship with the director, whether how much I weigh in or weigh out. Some creatives are very defensive. So if I'm pushing somebody, they think that I have a personal interest. So then I just whoever you want, this is my, and some people really want my opinion, and then I'll give it. But it's a very important thing that I've learned with age about, not giving unsolicited advice, even when you're a casting director and you would think that that's what they were paying for, and it's sometimes, you have to play it. And I'm just looking for an actor to play the role. And it depends on the project. Sometimes I'm looking for an actor who will bring something for sales. Sometimes I'm looking for an actor who is the right ethnicity. Sometimes I'm looking for the actor who can speak the right language or look the right way. There are many, many different things that I am looking for.
Has it become a bit less personalized through the self-tape process, the casting process? I mean, I'm sure it did become a bit more anonymous, right? You get all these tapes and it's not the physical presence as much as it was in the past. Of course, we have more production. The volume has been ramping up, so you need a different filter system. But I'm old school. Got into acting when there were no smartphones. I was sending out packages every week, and they were heavy as every day, right? So it was a completely different world, and I witnessed the transition. And we always say this on the channel as well. Isn't that crazy how that changed? And I don't know what's better, what's worse. Now it's more like sending a tape. You have this file and it goes somewhere into the ether, and somehow someone, he's gonna acknowledge that or not. So I love the physical process, the physical edition, of course, way more. But in terms of looking at all these different talents, it has become, I guess, increasingly difficult. The pressure is high. There is no time. All these videos on that flat screen. And you've been saying something beautiful, and this is what we like. This is our flag. There is no perfectionism. I always say perfectionism is fascism, right? The people that want everything under control in this little box and check out everything. In the end, this is not life. It's a cube. Yeah, it's fascinating, but it's not life. Life is the weirdy, the messy, the chaotic, the spontaneous, and sometimes also unexpected person that kind of surprises us, right? And so it's like, oh, I never thought that, we could play the scene also in this way. Who knows, right?
Most actors think they have to be good at casting, and they don't. They have to be good at acting. And I have to be good at casting. I'm a casting director, and directors have to be good at casting because their career depends on it. And a lot of the time, directors don't spend enough time studying casting. Like, if I put up casting workshop with Lucy Lenox tomorrow, I can guarantee that everybody who signs up will be an actor.
Yes.
The people who should be coming to my workshop are directors or producers. And even, I did one in the Sofia Film Festival in Bulgaria last week. I did two workshops. One was for producers and one was for actors. And even at the one for producers, I asked, how many people here are producers? And only half of them were producers, which was great. I was so grateful that even half were producers.
Right.
And the other people, I was like, you're actors. You're meant to come on the day after tomorrow. They're like, yeah, but we want to learn.
It's funny that everybody perceives his creative world as something, oh no, I can't share this. This is mine. Nobody understands this universe, right? And so jealous of what we've kind of achieved in our world, right? This is also why I feel sometimes the audition process with us actors as a community is somehow difficult, because everybody know, these are my tools, right? And everybody's jealous of this audition, right?
I think, that's one of the things I've set up this platform, the Actor Tome, and that's one of the things I'm really trying to combat, because if we stick together, we rise. Everything about it is like, we are in crisis at the moment in the world in so many different ways. Actors are in crisis because of content. People are calling art content now. And then if you take a group of children, adolescents, they don't want to watch a film because they don't have an attention span. They want to watch something on Instagram or TikTok. Like, it's quite difficult now to get an 8-year-old to sit through a feature-length film. So unless we start making it all much better so that people enjoy it and we start supporting it ourselves, we're a dying breed. And it's really important that we put back into our industry before we take out. That is including sharing. It's helping other people. Like, a really good actor, the best actors I know are the ones who, when they act, they're elevating the actor of the people they're in the scene with.
Yes, I totally agree. And when you infect the others with your energy, and you kind of leveling up the, the average quality.
Or if you're making them, if they meant to hate you, you make them hate you. If they love you,
Yes.
you make them love you. Like acting is making a reaction in somebody. One of the things that I think is very clear to me, and I've been an observer of actors for a long time now, is that because, and it's a little bit like what's happening in the whole world, politics of fear of scarcity. So as actors know there's not enough work, they go into a scarcity mindset. And as soon as you go into that mindset, you become mean in a way, and mean to yourself and mean to other people. Whereas if you go into abundance, you become generous.
Yes.
And so I'm trying, like, with the Actors Home and with the actors I talk to encourage this sense of abundance. Like, stop focusing on the fact that there isn't enough work. Focus on the fact of how much work there is. Focus on how easy it is to create content now. And I don't like the word content, so I don't even know why you use
it. It is. I mean, create art yourself. I mean, this is like...
That's why I just did this incredible challenge on the Actors Home called Mini Documentary. So the challenge was to make a mini documentary about your life as an actor. The entries, I cried, I laughed. Some of them were so brilliant. And it's just that thing of like, and none of them cost any money to make. They made them, at home or editing material together.
Right.
But they told stories, and some of them were, animation. Some of them were documentaries. Some of them were mockumentaries. And that was just made for something that was for fun. But in fact, I can now show them. I'm going to put them on a YouTube channel probably. They are just, and they will promote those actors so much more than in them just doing a boring, hello, my name is Lucy Lenox and I'm a casting director, give me a job. Like, my whole thing with actors is trying to get them to stop being job seekers and be creative service providers. Like, your service is important. And as soon as people stop thinking that they're looking for a job, which is a painful and horrific process, and start just thinking, hey, this is what I do, and if you need me, I'm here.
You already are in the job. This is what I keep telling also my clients, my students. And this is partially also why we founded the Coach MC Studio as a YouTube channel and as a social media network 10 years ago, to be honest. And now we're ramping up. In the last 5 years, we're producing more and more. And we are home also for these stranded artists that believe that the world has conspired against them, or that the universe is unfair, or God hasn't. It's not. You already are in the job. You are an artist. You're an actor. You're a producer, you're a filmmaker, you're an editor, you're a sound designer, you're a prop designer, whatever you already are in the job. So stop creating, start doing your job. A successful actor is someone who behaves like a successful actor every day and doesn't just wait for a phone call. And the funny thing is that you just mentioned the same thing happens to us. When I ask my clients during the week, we have weekly assignments. I give them a lot of homework between one session and the other. And so sometimes we work on a monologue and I tell the actor, just send me 5 clips of this monologue, maybe the first paragraph, and 5 different emotions every day, just for the fun of it. You can't imagine what they send in. Like, super beautiful stuff, very interesting, very elaborate. And then we have to go to the casting. It's like, and then they close down, and then they try to be perfect. And then they lose all of this spontaneity and all this natural.
Do you know why that happens? I mean, I have a theory, which I think is true. It's to do with the stress response. So when you get stressed, this is an actual fact. When you suffer from a stress response, there's a part of your brain that switches off. And it's the part of your brain that's related to listening and decision taking.
Yes.
Because I've seen that a lot. I've known actors, I've seen them in the theater, they've come to workshops, they're brilliant. I call them in for a casting and they're like,
yes.
like, what is happening? What is happening? And then I read a lot and I study psychology a lot for different reasons than being a casting director. And then I suddenly was learning about stress response to do with post-traumatic stress disorder. And I was like, that's what actors have. They've become so stressed about the casting process, about the audition process, that they come in with stress and they get this, and that stops them listening, which is why they're not taking direction, which is the biggest crime that you can do.
I believe so, that you're on the right path with your theory. I guess there is something, it's our reptilian center, right? The oldest layer of our brain, the primordial bouncer of our information distribution in our brain is fear or fight. It's flight, right? Or let's rumble, right? There is just this way to how we decode information sometimes when we get in this pressure moments, in those crunch moments, that we sometimes freeze up because we get into the state of neediness. Now, what should I do now? Instead of just enjoying the moment and just of going out there and just of creating and really, like you said, just listening and picking up on that and kind of building like you would do in a rehearsal, like you would do on stage, like you would do every time you get the call to action. So, and this is, some people shut off their natural identity and their natural behavior because they believe they have this superimposed idea of what casting directors like to see now, right? Like now all of a sudden it's not my messy me anymore. Now I have to come across as this perfect performer, right? That kind of blows everyone away. Otherwise I haven't done my job. No, your job is to fulfill what's written on that page and to react truthfully what the other reader is giving you and building something organic up out of that relationship. Nothing else. Just do what's necessary. Don't try to be the best of the day, right?
Totally.
I think we are coming into an era where filmmaking, entertainment, comic books, art, right? It's become more and more a decentralized endeavor. It's not centralized and hierarchical as it used to be like 25 years ago, where big cities like London, Berlin, Moscow, New York were kind of the trendsetters. Everybody was kind of following, right? Everybody from the southern part of the planet's hemisphere was kind of migrating to these northern parts, cities, to kind of, catch the latest trends, to kind of present their products. Now we produce great movies in Brazil. We produce extraordinary, and we will talk about this in a second, movies in Spain. Spain has become like a leader also with the Latin American market, right? So filmmaking has become decentralized. Hollywood productions are becoming less and less. They are diversifying their production outlet with Georgia, with Illinois, with South Florida, et cetera, more and more. We have international productions. I mean, the Coach MC studio started because we were giving, English monologue advice to Italian actors, not really that good in English. So, and they wanted to audition for John Wick and the guy from Richard, the guy from Uncle, and all these Angels and Demons. Beautiful projects, but they had some sincere problems, like with the pronunciation. First of all, this is how we started, and then we kind of developed into this acting studio. Where do you see the trends going? Like more and more of those safe harbors like we have over here, like you are creating, where we produce, where we come together, where we support each other?
I don't know. It always surprises me. Like you think that you're going in one direction, and then suddenly it's changed.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's like, you were talking about us watching the sea. It's like you can see the waves in the distance, but then suddenly this rip wave comes and you just have to ride that wave. I mean, I read the industry trades a lot. So, recently they've been talking about, there's this tendency that we're not going to have so many big $200 million films, and they're going to make more independent films. There's going to be more diversification. But it only takes one of those big films to make $1 million, and then everybody's back wanting to make those. Like there's going to be another Barbie. Okay, now we can have, those kind of films, or Oppenheimer. But then you'll have something like, the Italian film that I love, Otto Montane. And that's such a great film. It just really depends, because we always have to remember that, there's art, which is what I'm interested in, and then there's business, which is what the producers are interested in. And there's a really big difference.
Yes, it's like getting them together. Sometimes it's difficult. What brought you ultimately, and what made you stay in Spain? Because we're in Miami now, and we're discovering, throughout the years, we've been working with tremendous actors from Spain. We have a lot of clients in Madrid, and it's becoming more and more relevant. We've been also recently to the Miami media and film market, where we met the Spanish tax credit, developers, and they were presenting their island incentives, and very fascinating what's going on with LATAM. Spain has established itself as the third, it's one of the power leaders. It's one of those powerhouses now in international film market. Super serious productions. I mean, you work for Amazon, Netflix, and all these great outlets as well. So how do you see the development of the Spanish production, the Spanish language?
I just think it's interesting. It's a really good combination. I was talking about it in Bulgaria last week about how it's because it's the combination between having a few breakout stars. So then suddenly So we have an enormous debt to people like Penelope Cruz and Antonio Banderas and Javier Bardem, because it's not a coincidence. And I think people forget about the film industry, how small it is. So then we have some very clever producers here, the people from Media Pro, Adrian Guerra, who is from the Canary Islands, and then they create these lobbies, and then they get the tax breaks. There's very good Fresco is a service company who service things like Thrones, or Palma Pictures who service The Crown. So there's some very good companies here, but they're run by individuals. And I think it's the same as Hollywood. Hollywood was 5 families. Everything in the film industry actually goes back to one person having an idea. And I think that people forget that. So in Spain, some people have had ideas that have worked. They've managed to bring, Penelope and her agent, Katrina Bayonas, got on a plane and went to Hollywood to find an agent for her after she'd been successful in a Fernando Trueba film. Antonio Banderas is a guy who's a big dreamer and a hard worker.
You can see that. You can literally see that on the screen.
Yeah. And these are the people, they've dreamt big and they work hard and they're authentic. I always say that to people who are non-English native speakers. Like, our biggest stars have accents. Don't try to be an American. Be the very best Spanish person, or the very best Italian, or the very best whatever. Then you'll win.
I like
so that's, so it's, I think we've had them, then we've had a government that brought in the tax breaks. We have a regional thing. Then there's been a long history of shooting stuff here because of the weather. So the spaghetti westerns, which means that we have very good technicians. Then we had the film, places like, I started my career with a film studio called Filmax. And that was set up, that would make a great story. That was set up by a guy from Galicia, Julio Fernandez. And he left Galicia when he was 14. He was a waiter. And he was one of those waiters, that worked really, really hard. And he used to wash the cuffs of his shirt every night, because you had to have a clean shirt, but he only had one shirt. So that's the thing that waiters do. They wash the cuffs. And then he came and then he set up, selling DVDs, I think. And now it's one of the biggest film studios. And both his daughters are still film producers. They're young. They're younger than me, but Laura Fernandez and Sandra Fernandez, and I've had the privilege of working for both of them. But those are the stories. The film industry is made by individuals. It's not a herd moving together or making a decision. It's a man in Galicia with a big dream who works really hard, goes from being a waiter to being the owner of one of the biggest studios. It's a young, brilliant businessman from the Canary Islands who fights to have a tax incentive so people will want to shoot. It's people who go, and this is where the self-taping industry doesn't really work. This is why we still have film festivals. It's about meeting people in the flesh. People that you go, hey, I want to do this. This is my dream. Do you want to be part of my dream? And I think people forget that. They think that they're, like, particularly people, like what you said was very important earlier, like, act like you're in the industry, not like you're outside of it. Like, once you're inside, but you can act like you're inside, and then you meet people and then people trust you. Our industry is based on trust. So I trust you with my dream to make my film, or I trust you with my film to find me the right actors. It's all about trust. And trust is based on actually knowing people, not just, so it's complicated. And it's a complicated thing today that younger generations have to work forward, because, like, I have gut instinct. My gut instinct is on seeing somebody in a room. And I have to train my gut instinct now with, like, because I trust my gut, I'm always buying things on internet, and, I think I bought, something that's going to get rid of all my wrinkles, and then this kind of pot of useless powder turns up. Or I bought an entire dinner set once, and I was so excited, it was so cheap, and then this tiny box turned up. I bought a doll set of dinner plates, and so I believe things, so I have to be very aware of that now.
I think very successful people in the arts, they just kept their childish enthusiasm alive. I think that's one of the key things, and it's so evident when I look into your energy emanating eyes that there is still this well of childish enthusiasm whenever a script shows up, whenever a talent comes through the door. Of course you have your good and your bad days like everyone else. We're not saints. We're not here to be perfect. Again, we're authentic, living, oxygen breathing human beings. But the essence right? If that is alive, if that fire bundle is alive and kind of eating oxygen and emanating heat, then you can't go wrong. Of course, sometimes your picks are less fortunate. Sometimes it's also a matter of not the right timing. It's not always to feel so entitled that you have everything under control. Oh, it's my fault I didn't get the role, or it's my fault I didn't get on that. Yeah, it's like maybe the universe is perfect and you trust that things come together and align in the moment they should align. What should actors avoid at all costs if they want to impress you?
Don't try to show me that you can act. I've called you in because I know you can act. I want to see what you're going to do with the role. So be the role, be the character. The other thing is, it's really complicated. It's totally okay to be nervous, because remember that that's about being excited. Don't look like you don't trust yourself, because you know yourself better than me. So don't ask me to trust you if you can't trust yourself.
Oh, that's beautiful. Very deep. Let's resonate on that. No, really. Sometimes, no, beautiful. Yeah.
The rest of it is just do you. The other things that we've touched on is that, remember, in Ireland, we say what's for you won't pass you. So if the role is meant to be for you, you will get it. And if it's not meant to be for you, it's because it's for somebody else. The other thing is to remember that, and you said this, once you're in the casting room, you're part of the process. And it's very important to know that it's not then, if you know yourself, you'll know whether you did the best of your ability. And then it's not up to you it's not an ice skating competition. Yes. We don't choose people by grading them. You're not graded. The best person doesn't get the role. It's the right person that gets the role. So don't start, if you go to a string of auditions and you're not getting them, have a think about it, but think about what you're doing right, not about what you're doing wrong. Like, actors are always saying to me, what could I have done to have got the role? And I'm like, nothing. Nobody's ever asked me, what did I do to get the role? And it's much more important for actors. And I think this is very important in a mindset. So every time you do an audition, every time you act, take a moment to think about what you did right, as opposed to what you did wrong. So often people are like, and they go to classes, and people tell them what they did wrong, and they fix what they do. You can't fix what you did wrong. You can only do more of what you do right.
Thank you so much. And
thank
you so much, Lucy. See you next time, creative community. It's been a blast having you on the show. We all learned from today's session. See you with the next talk on acting. Thank you for your time. Check out her contact, believe in your dream, and just keep on marching no matter what. See you next time.